Hi, welcome to our channel. Today's episode is about Vimana, but I would like to start with a question. How often do you see airplanes when you're outdoors? 3 times? 5 times? Maybe more often if you stay near airport. Almost nothing is surprising in today's modern age. Our manufactured aircraft are capable of traveling from one country to another, able to move to any part of the world. Our built rockets are capable of reaching from one planet to another. We read books in our childhood that the first space vehicle was Russian, named Sputnik. It was the first spacecraft to make a mission to Moon on October 4th, 1957. Russia is 5 months ahead of US in the space race. After Russia's Sputnik, America launched its Jupiter-C spacecraft to Moon on January 31st, 1957. The history of space travel competition is very interesting and full of many stories, which can be discussed in another episode. Let's talk a little about airplanes. Do you remember when the airplane was first invented? Who is its inventor? The inventors of the airplane are Orville Wright and Wilbur Wright, two brothers from the Wright family. They invented the airplane in 1903. Then the rocket was invented only 50 years later as a result of advancement in technology. Well, if we go back 2000 years or 20,000 years ago, how was our life system, our human civilization? Science says there was no touch of technology at that time. In today's modern human civilization or high technology era, we can reach any part of the world today due to the invention of airplanes. Again, as a result of the invention of rockets, we can reach distant planets from the Earth, which was unimaginable even just 50 years ago. So how was the past 20,000 years ago? If we say what we read in history, the information recorded in history is wrong. If we say that mankind has used air vehicles much earlier than the information given in history. Can you imagine aircraft? But I'm not talking about air balloon at all. History says that air balloon was first invented in 1783. The question comes again. Before the 17th century, how was the life of mankind 20,000 years ago? Historically, there were human settlements, but the civilization was much inferior to that of the present era. There was no touch of technology. Wouldn't that be surprising if one says, in the ancient times, airships of advanced technology roamed the skies, which were much more advanced than the current technology airships, a technology that even our present technologists do not understand. But what if we see something beyond our understanding that we call alien technology? Stay with me. To make the matter more clear, I will discuss Vimana. What is Vimana? As mentioned earlier, Vimana has been termed 20,000 years old alien technology. It would be a mistake not to discuss Mahabharata before discussing Vimana. The Mahabharata is an epic poem consisting of many stories. Its influence on Indian culture has lasted for thousands of years. In short, Mahabharata is an epic poem. It contains the story of conflict and war between two clans of one family. The Pandavas and the Kauravas engaged in the Kurukshetra war to capture the throne of Hastinapura. Maybe you are wondering how Vimana is related to all this. Stay with me. Mahabharata was found between India and Pakistan 300 years before 3rd century, around 2300 years ago. Indian scientists naturally did not give any importance to the content of Mahabharata due to their scientific approach. According to them, it was just a fantasy novel. Later, when the original text of the Mahabharata was translated, their eyes were wide open. Because in such a simple novel of such antiquity, the kind of technology mentioned was not insignificant, but rather very modern. A lot of evidence is found in the later period, which matches the story of the Mahabharata exactly. More than 35 places in India are mentioned as ancient places in Mahabharata. Archaeological evidences have been found from all the places that have been investigated, such as iron, copper, vessels, seals with images, gold and silver ornaments, terracotta figurines, and engraved vessels. Archaeologists of the USA conducted experiments on archaeological samples, and after a long search, two groups were formed according to the theory. Some believe it is just a science fiction. Others believe. All this proves that people in the past used much advanced technology, what we call now alien technology. They also believe that there was a nuclear war in the past. In 2014, Chinese archaeologists found some scriptures of Sanskrit book in Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. They sent it to Chandigarh University in India for translation. According to the university professor Dr. Ruth Raina, it mentioned the direction to create the constellations. This aircraft was not an ordinary aircraft. This aircraft is capable of interplanetary movement. The script described aircraft movements and handling procedures. The aircraft's mode of operation is anti-gravity and was based upon a system analogous to that of Lagima, the unknown power of the ego existing in man's physiological, a centrifugal force strong enough to counteract all gravitational pull. Dr. Ruth Raina also said that there is another instrument in this spacecraft which is known as Astros. The technology of these machines is capable of sending people from one planet to another at any moment they want. The manuscript also mentions a hat-like covering called an antima. It had the technology to make the user invisible. Another technique was garima, which described the process of becoming as heavy as a mountain. The found manuscript is believed to be thousands of years old. Indian scholars considered the Mahabharata from the beginning to be a fictional or religious novel, never evaluated scientifically. When Chinese scientists announced their decision to include experiments on various texts of the Mahabharata in their space program, the scientific world started a race to focus on this neglected Mahabharata in a serious way. Unfortunately, complete records of Mahabharata are not available even today. This document does not mention any information about interplanetary missions, but plans for missions to the moon are mentioned. But the details of the successful completion of the plan for the mission to the moon are not clearly mentioned. However, the Ramayana details the expedition to the moon by air and the battle with Asvin, the Atlantean airship. If the manuscript is indeed a novel or science fiction, it must undoubtedly be accepted that its author had a brilliant scientific mind, because according to the historical data, the period 10 to 20,000 years ago was a barbaric period, a period deprived of the light of civilization. Let us now talk about the details inside the Vimana. It has a pair of patatanas, a spherical plane with a dome and entrance. That is, if imagined, it corresponds to the present-day flying saucer. Vimana can move with the speed of wind and makes melodious while moving. At least 4 types of Vimanas are mentioned in the documents, some of which are spherical, some cylindrical or cigar-shaped aircraft. The document contained instructions for operating these different types of Vimanas, translated into English. It should be clearly noted that these Vimanas are driven by anti-gravitational forces. Vimana is capable of vertical flight and can stay in the sky for a long time, much like a helicopter. The place where Vimana is kept is called Vimana Griha, in which Vimana was kept in a hangar. Note that a kind of white yellow colored liquid was used to run Vimana. Also, a mercury mixture was used to operate some Vimanas. Apart from a combustor, the Vimana has several types of propulsion power sources and also a pulse jet. It's interesting to note that Nazis developed the first practical pulse jet engines for their V8 rocket named buzz bombs. Hitler and his Nazi operatives were particularly interested in the ancient technology of India and Tibet. Every year, special teams of Nazis were sent to India and Tibet to search and collect authentic information. Perhaps the Nazis were able to acquire the technology of today's aliens at that time from the records of the Mahabharata. I will discuss Nazis' alien technology in another episode if I get a chance. However, there is much information about Vimana in ancient India and Atlantis from documents. It contains the secret information of aircraft making in details. For example, how to build an airplane so that it cannot be break, catch fire, or even ever be destroyed. There are also keeping the aircraft stationary, keeping invisible, stealth grazing, not being detected by any kind of radar, capturing images of enemy aircraft, and collecting secret technology information, identifying the course of enemy aircraft, rendering the enemy inside the enemy aircraft unconscious, and destroying the enemy aircraft. There are also details on different classes of jet engines, flight uses, electricity, power sources, pilots, aircraft interiors, and food. All the weapons used in the aircraft are also detailed. Operating instructions of Vimana are very similar to modern military and civil aircraft operating instructions. There are many amazing facts in ancient documents that are so modern compared to their time that they are beyond our comprehension. The information that we present to you today is only 1% in a million of the information mentioned in the document. If you want to know more information about these or any topic, please write in the comment box below. If you like the video, don't forget to like and share, subscribe, and click the notification bell icon so you don't miss our new episodes. Thank you so much for being with us.